welcome. I am Patrice, owner of ProFusion Web Solutions. Today's session is, like I said, we're going to be a little bit more hands-on, kind of looking at the different areas and tools you can use to get a better idea of what your competitors are doing online. If you wanted to do this again on one of your competitors, it's going to take you roughly 20 minutes to maybe run through all of these things. You're going to want to be able to take notes because the goal of this is not just to kind of say, oh, that's what they're doing online. The goal is we want to identify maybe where there are some gaps and maybe where there's some opportunities for you as a competitor to be able to, do better, do more than what your competitor is currently doing. So that is the goal. None of this is going to cost you any money. Everything that we're doing is going to be a free tool that we use to just take a look at what people are doing online. There's going to be 5 different places that we actually are going to look. It's going to be, we're going to look at the 5 things again with free tools. We're going to do a quick traffic, so see how much traffic they could potentially be getting to their website, a technical gut check a little bit. We're going to take a look at what this can give you, what information it can give you, and what it can't give you, as far as we're not going to be able to access private data. Everything we're looking at today is going to be publicly available. So we're not logging into some secret tool that we have access to. It's simply data that's available for anyone to look at. And we're just going to do some analysis on it. So the plan is I want this to be as hands-on and as valuable as you can. So in your head right now, if you're a business owner, pull up one competitor that you can think of just kind of off the top of your head, and maybe someone who you've heard their name a bit when someone calls to ask you for an estimate, or they're buying products similar to yours. So someone that is actually a competitor that you may actually lose business to from time to time, or you hear about them often, and consider running this checklist that we're going to go through today against them. I will send out in my weekly email on Friday a link to, actually, if you're on the webinar, you'll get it earlier than that, but it'll go out in the Friday email as well. And that's going to have a link to this checklist. So if you're not able to, if you're watching this on mobile, for example, and you're not able to run through the checklist in real time, then you'll have access to all of the links and all of the tools that we are using today. And then we'll cover some ground rules at the end of this. So what you should be doing with this data now that you found it out. Before we jump into it, though, let's talk about why we're even talking about this, because obviously we want to focus on our business and being the best we can be and doing the best job that we can for our customers. But we do want to look at the fact that our customers who are coming to us are already comparing. They're already doing this comparison. So we want to also be doing it so we can see what our customers are seeing. 84% of businesses say their market has gotten more competitive in the last 3 years. Our market has radically changed in the last 12 months, probably. I know a lot of the businesses we talk to, things are changing so quickly. New competition that's not even local anymore, but it's hard to tell if it's local or not. So the market is changing super quickly. On the consumer side of that, 83% of shoppers check at least 2 businesses or websites before they buy anything. So your customer is very likely already doing this comparison that we're going to do today. Maybe not down to the technical level, but they're already doing some comparison shopping. They're very educated typically on the products and services that they're buying. So they're already doing this comparison. You just don't get to always see their results. If you're the loser in the comparison, if you don't end up getting that phone call, then you're not always privy to kind of what they actually looked at. So that your shoppers are already doing this. 94% of businesses plan to invest more time or money into understanding their competition going forward. So it's something that people are actually going to be investing in. This again is a free tool system that we're going to be looking at today. Maybe the most telling number, though, is 70% say that knowing what we're covering today earlier would have made their past decisions more meaningful or more effective. So knowing where to put your marketing dollars, knowing what to say when you're actually, putting together your headlines or your ad campaign. So this information, again, it's just going to help you hopefully market better. Takeaway is pretty simple on this one. Your customers are already comparing. The only real choice you have is whether you know what they're seeing when they do compare. And that's what we want to kind of open your eyes to today. When I first got into marketing, back in 1999. I think I took my first marketing, no, that 2001 maybe, my first marketing seminar that I went to. The guy said, in order to know why John Smith buys what John Smith buys, you have to see the world through John Smith's eyes. Okay, so in order to know why your customer buys what they buy, you have to be able to get into your customer's head. And that is what we're doing today with this comparison. So we're going to take a look and see what is working for your competitors potentially, where there are gaps, and where you might be able to capitalize on those gaps. So here's the 5 places we're going to look when again, we're calling this a tear down, but this is where we're going to be looking. Their website, their search engine optimization, their ads, if they're running ads, their social media, and then their reviews specifically on Google Business Profile. There are other places for ads, but we're looking specifically at Google Business Profile. So let's go ahead and go through these one at a time. The website is probably the easiest one to go take a look at. And I'm sure you're saying, hey, I've already looked at my competitor's website, but actually take the time to go through and read their homepage like a total stranger would. So what do they say that they do? If they're a plumber, do they simply say, we're plumbing experts? Or do they say, we solve, family, or we solve plumbing issues when you're family needs it most, or how are they kind of positioning themselves in the industry? Pay attention to their exact wording because this will tell you how they see their advantage. So how they see their differentiator, what they think their unique selling proposition is. That is often different than how you might describe them, but pay attention to what they're actually saying because that's what they think is their unique selling proposition. Then go ahead and go through their website and kind of follow the calls to action. So do they have a free checklist? What does that look like? What does that process look like if you click through on their website and click to actually, get through the checklist? You don't have to enter in your information and actually download their checklist because I think that's the last thing we all want is to have our competitors know that we were on their website and potentially spying on them a little bit. But, follow through the process and see how's the process. Is it clear? Is the path confusing? In one of our past webinars, I think from June, we talked a lot about how clarity is key to success on a website. Any level of confusion creates doubt. Doubt causes people to not want to actually follow your call to action. So we want to make sure that the message is clear. So when you're on your competitor's website, is it clear what they want you to do? If it's not clear, that's great. That's something that you can do better on your own website. And then the third thing you can do is if you go to a website, it's called the Wayback Machine. If you go to web.archive.org and put in your competitor's web address, there's going to be just a little box that you can put in, drop in their web address. You can go through and assuming that your competitor's website has been around for a while, you can actually see screenshots of what their website used to look like. This gives you a little bit of insight into how often they're updating their site, what their call to action used to be, what their headlines used to be, and kind of how the brand has evolved. Now, maybe you know some of this information just by being kind of market aware for your industry, but it is always interesting to go back and see, okay, they've added location pages, they've added calls to action, they've added a blog. What have they done to their website over time to improve it and potentially capitalize on something that you're not doing? The payoff on this is that if a website hasn't changed in years, if it's same old website, that means that they probably aren't paying a ton of attention to their online presence. And again, that's an opening for you, right? That's potentially a spot where you can say, this is great. There's an opportunity for us to kind of step in at that point. The second place you can look is their search engine optimization visibility. This is traditional SEO. So not AEO, not our answer engine optimization. I'm not telling you to go into ChatGPT or Claude or any of the other AI models, because that could really be tailored to your own personal results based on what you and your AI agent have talked about. So we're talking specifically about traditional search results on this one. But go ahead and open up Google. Start simple. Search for your own main keywords, the exact phrases that you would want a customer to use when they are trying to find you, and see who shows up above you. So if you do show up, great, but see who else shows up above you or around your website as well. Read their page titles in the results. That's going to be what that shows up right initially at the top of the listing there. see what their description actually says. This is going to tell you what Google thinks that your competitor's website is about. It's going to give you some information as to how Google sees your competitor. There is also a tool called Ubersuggest that has a keyword gap feature. This is in the free version of this, so not the paid version. And all you have to do is you type in your own website, type in two of your competitors' websites, and it's going to show you what they rank for that you currently don't rank for. So there might be some services that you don't offer that they're ranking for, so that might not be, incredibly relevant. But if there's a business that's pretty similar to yours, offers the same types of services that you do, drop in their URL and your URL, your domain name, and it's in real time going to show you keywords they rank for that you don't rank for. And again, that just gives you a little bit of knowledge. Knowledge is power, because if you know that they're ranking really well for a keyword that you're not ranking well for, but you want to rank well for that keyword, that gives you a focus area, right? So all we're trying to narrow down here is what can you do to your own website to be more competitive. The third section on this one is go to, and I know we've talked about this in previous webinars as well, but go to Google. When you do your Google search, there's going to be a section that also says people also ask, and it's going to give you a list of other Google search terms that are related to the one you just did. So look there and see, based on those, what people are already asking, where do you rank for those? Where does your competitor rank for those? And then there's also a tool called Answer the Public, answerthepublic.com. It does the same thing, but at a larger scale. So if a competitor has a page answering one of the questions that shows up on either one of these search terms or tools, and you don't, then that's a content gap, that there's content missing on your website. So Google doesn't understand that this is a question you can also answer, and you can close that gap. That is something you can then take action on and do something about. Or if you're paying someone to do SEO for you, they can close that gap. Obviously, if we're doing SEO for you, we're already using these tools, often the paid versions of these, because we can get more data and more intel out of them. But even on the free version, you can go through and see where those content gaps might lie. And this will help you not only determine what content maybe needs to exist on your website, but what content might be great for social media content, might be great for email newsletter, might be great for a blog, like I said, for content on your website. So this can guide your, when you're sitting there going, gosh, I just have nothing to blog about today. You absolutely do. Go grab one of these topics that there's a keyword gap on and immediately blog about one of those. Okay, so this is just taking a look at the questions where there's a content gap or where no one has bothered to answer one of these questions before, and you can jump in and be the market leader for those questions. The third place is we want to look and see if they're running ads. So this is always an interesting one, because you can actually go see if they're running Google ads or Meta ads. Most people have no idea that you can find out if your competition is running ads. And there's two tools that we would use. The first is the Meta Ad Library. It's free. Go to facebook.com/ads/library. This is like one of the only areas on Facebook that you don't need an account to actually see this information. It's part of their Transparency Act. And you can, without having to log in, you can type in any company name and see if they're currently running any Meta ads. It is, they've just gone through, Meta has started going through the process of verifying business names who are running the ads, just like Google has done. So if you've run Google ads before, you know that you've just had to go through the process of verifying that your business is running ads and you're using your official business name that has your business license attached to it. So you're going to want to look for the business name in both of these search terms or both of these search tools. But that will show you in Meta, it's going to show you what ads are running, what ads they've previously run on Facebook, Instagram, and on Threads as of the beginning of this year, as of a few months ago. It also shows you a rough impression of the reach of the ads. So it won't give you the spend. You won't be able to find out how much money they're spending or what their conversion rates are, but you will get a general idea of the reach of the ads. On Google, it's a pretty similar idea there. You can search by business name. You can also drop in their web address. That will also tie it back, assuming they're using that website for their ads. And you can see their active search campaigns. YouTube campaigns, and display ads. Again, it's not going to tell you their budget or conversion tools or any of that, but you'll know whether or not they're spending money on Google Ads. The thing that we always kind of look at here is if a competitor is running the same ad, if you see that they have one ad or a couple ads and they haven't changed those because it'll have a date stamp on those. If the competitor has been running the same ad, that tells you one of two things. One, they're lazy and they just haven't updated it. Or two, that ad is actually working pretty well and converting. It's a pretty strong signal if a business continues to pay for the same ad to run, that that ad is working well, right? We hope that businesses aren't going to continue to push money towards an ad that's not converting for them. So all that I want to draw attention to there is if they're running the ads and they've been running that same ad for a while, just take a look at the ad, notice the headline, notice if they're making any promises. What is the call to action? Because that might be something that you might want to look at, not copying again, but just something that there might be a gap area for you on your own content that you need to add that in so you're competing with them based on what they're running on the ads there. The fourth place you want to take a look at when you're kind of running your comparison analysis here is their social media content. This is the most kind of human level that we have to go through and do. There's not a lot of automated tools. I'm sure I could have AI do something here, but this is where you actually, as a human, want to go just take a look and see what they're doing. So the first thing is open up, Facebook, Meta, LinkedIn, scroll through their last month or so of posts. Sometimes this will be one post. Maybe they've done one, maybe they've done none, maybe they do something every day. But just take a notice of how often are they posting? What types of content is showing up for them? Are they doing product photos? Are they doing behind the scene videos? What kind of promotions are they running, if any? Do they have customers that are willing to tell their stories? How are they performing? And then you want to take a look at the comments, not just the captions on the posts themselves. You want to look actually at the comments. So who's actually responding to these posts? Comments and the number of shares are going to tell you what has resonated with that audience. Regardless of the caption, the comments are going to show you how well that's doing. A post with 5 likes and a post with 50 is going to tell a very different story, right? So you'll see what kind of content tends to perform well for your competition. And then take a quick note of what's missing. Do they have a customer feature? If not, okay, that's something that they might be missing. If there's no frequently asked question style content, make a note of that. Whatever is absent on their calendar might be an opportunity and an open lane for your calendar. Again, we're not copying their content. I'm not telling you to go see, okay, well, that post got 50 likes, so therefore you need to go copy that post. That's not at all what we're looking at. We're simply looking for the type of post for that audience that they're responding to, assuming they have a similar audience to you. You want to see what kind of content they're responding to. Then you can do your own version of that with your own voice, your own stats, your own POV, but you want to make it your own. We're not copying exactly what they're doing. We're seeing what works. And then place 5 that you want to take a look at is their reviews and their reputation. This connects directly back to a bunch of the sessions that we've done in this webinar series on Google Business Profile and reviews. 92% of consumers say that the star rating matters when they're choosing a business. And the other number kind of worth knowing here is that the number of reviews that you want to try and get to, like that minimum number, is 40. So roughly 40 reviews before people actually start to really trust that star rating. It's not that if you have 35 of them, they're still going to trust it, but that 40 number seems to be the threshold where it's not just your friends and family leaving you reviews. It's actually, real customers going through it and leaving those. So below that, a 5.0 rating looks good, but they might have some suspicions about it, right? We want them to be impressed with our star ratings. We don't want them to wonder, why there's so few. So the exercise on this one is, I think we've probably done this in a few of our other webinars when we're looking at Google Business Profile, but Google your business profile or put your company name and there's open 2 different browsers, put them side by side and take a look. What is your star rating versus theirs? How many reviews do you have versus how many do they have? Then take a look at where are they listed as far as what categories. Do they have a description? What is their description in comparison to yours? Is it more thorough? Do they have products and services listed? Do you? and then take a look at the posts. When was the last time they updated any of their posts versus when you did? Specifically looking at reviews, if they're ahead of you, I don't want you to take that as like, oh, okay, I just can't ever get 100 more reviews to compete with them. It's just this might tell you that that review system that we talked about months ago, that needs to get put in place sooner than later. So that might then need to be your focus for the rest of summer, is making sure that you have that review system in place so you're continually generating leads. Again, they might be ahead of you, but if you can start getting those consistent reviews coming in, that is going to be a huge benefit to you. Two other bonus tools that kind of get a little, we use them, but they get a little deep as far as like the technical level kind of goes. There's a website called Similar Web. They have a free tier. And if you put in your competitor's URL, you're going to see roughly how much website traffic they get, whether it's been trending up or down, and where visitors are coming from. The free version only gives you, I think it's 1/4 of data. So it's going to give you like 3 months of data, but that at least gives you an idea of like kind of what's happening. Now, if they're a super seasonal business, take this with a grain of salt, but it gives you a little bit of an idea of what the competitor's website is doing. I always also like to put in my own website there so I can just see how accurate the data is, and it's within reason relatively accurate. The other one we use is a website called Built With. It lets you paste in your competitor's domain name, and you'll get to see way more. But the first time I did this, I was a little bit surprised. Again, coming from a more technical point of view, I was surprised at how much data it can get from our website. But this tells us what platform the website runs on, if they're using analytics tools and which ones, if they have ad pixels or Facebook pixels on their website, how it's installed, if it's running properly. It's useful content to show a little bit of what their tech stack is. So if they have an integration with MailChimp, then you know that they're using MailChimp to potentially send out newsletters. So it gives you a little bit of intel of how they built their platform. So that's Built With. Again, neither of those are going to overhaul your strategy. It just gives you a little bit more knowledge. And again, we're big fans of knowledge is power. So the more we know, the more we can strategize and create our own plan and how we want to invest and show up online. So just a quick kind of a scope check or review on this. I want to be honest about the limits of what this teardown can do. So if you go and actually use these websites and do this teardown, it's going to tell you what they say, to whom they're saying it. So who do they think their audience is? Whether they're running ads at all, how often they post. You'll be able to take a look and see what posts are performing well, how your reviews compare side by side, and whether their site is actively maintained. That's what Built With will tell you. It's not going to tell you their exact budget or ad spend. It's not going to tell you their conversion rates. It's not going to give you any private data. Again, all of this data is publicly available. It's not going to tell you why your strategy is not working. If you have one, it's not going to tell you that. It's not going to tell you anything that is not publicly visible. These are simply directional tools so we can try and see what they're saying, what we're not saying, and maybe in that gap, it allows us to kind of create a content plan that can move the needle for our business. That is the goal. Okay. We don't want to copy them. That is not at all what I'm saying. For this, you want to look at finding the gaps in content. Again, borrowing a content type is fine. Positioning yourself in a similar angle, fine, but copying their words, obviously their images, their design, don't do that. Again, it's just easy to, if we're running this comparison on public data, they can do it too. And it's going to become very easy to see who has copied whom if that's what you're doing. So we're not copying, it's for ideas and to identify gaps. Number two, stick to what's public, just as far as like these ground rules go. Everything we've talked about today is visible to anyone with a web browser. We didn't try to access private data. We wouldn't do that. We didn't create a fake account. I'm not encouraging you to go download their lead or their lead magnet and copy everything they're doing. So we don't want to misrepresent ourselves to get information that we're not publicly entitled to. So again, all of this is public data. The third ground rule we have here is never fake your own reviews and don't leave negative reviews on your competitors just because you can. If their reviews are ahead of yours, fix what is causing you to not earn more reviews. Don't manufacture something, but if you're not asking for reviews, fix that. If there is a genuine issue in your company where you're not comfortable asking for reviews because you're not sure they're going to be positive, fix that first. Fake reviews carry very real penalties. We covered that in last week's webinar. So we do not want to go down the route of fake reviews, and don't leave negative reviews for your competitors because they're beating you in something. Obviously, if you have a real negative experience, that's a different story. But if it's a fake one, that's just not how we do business. And then the other one that I'm just going to put in the good karma category is that I try and assume everyone's intent is good unless otherwise proven wrong. Most of the business owners that we meet, even my own competition, they tend to be decent people. They're just out there, just like we are, trying to make a living, trying to do the best by their customers. So our goal is to compete by being better. That we've done, from what I can tell, more research on AI search than any of our competition. We've done more educational, beneficial content that we're putting out there than any of our competition has. We're competing by being better. I'm not going to publicly tear down my competitors. We're just going to compete by being better consistently. This is simply market research. I'm not trying to get into a grudge match with my competition. I'm not trying to get into a we're better, they're better type situation. I'm going to let our actions speak for themselves. And that's what we do for our customers as well. So just simple ground rules to make sure that everyone kind of understands the point of doing a teardown. So what we want you to do today, again, we always like to end these webinars with 3 things that you can do. One, pick a real competitor, the one that you lose the most business to, or the one that customers mention most. Go through those 5 checks today: their website, SEO, ads, social, and Google Business Profile reviews. Run that check on all of them. As you're going through them, write down 3 specific gaps that you found. Maybe you'll find one in content, one in search engine optimization when you go through some of those websites. Maybe you see there's a review gap. So write down 3 specific gaps and be as specific as you can. So they don't have video beats, their social media is better than mine. So be very specific. They have video or we don't have video, specific about the gaps. And then pick just one of those gaps to close. I say this month, but that's only 10 days from now. So in the next couple of weeks, pick one of those gaps, try and close it. Create that momentum. Remember, you wrote down 3 specific gaps. We're going to close one of them. So in the next couple of weeks, close one and create that momentum, and then start closing the second gap, and then do the third, and then do this again and do it maybe for another competitor and see what you find then, and then do it again. This is a process that is ongoing. Okay. What questions do we have? I feel like this is drinking through a fire hose at times. You will get the spreadsheet or the checklist that shows the information here. So you'll have that. What if my competitor has way more reviews than me and I just can't catch up? They have 7,500 reviews. We have 70. Okay. Yeah, that's a big difference in reviews. I'm guessing the business has been around a very long time, or they offer something that is really easy to review. So a smaller product that is quick to purchase, lots of people purchasing it. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you're not going to immediately go out tomorrow and get 7,000 reviews. That's just not going to happen. But you do need to make sure that you're coming up with a system to that where you're getting a couple of reviews per week. So I don't know what your business is, Sarah, but if they just have higher orders than you do, or you just are a newer business, it's just going to take time. But if you are consistent with asking for reviews, that's going to be helpful for you. Remember, with Google, recency matters almost as much as that raw number count. So if they have 7,500 reviews, you have 70, but their last review was 6 months ago and yours was yesterday, yours carries higher weight. So just start consistently to get those reviews, but you do need to ask. So start getting the reviews. All right. What if I don't have a clear single competitor? I would just pick whoever. So when you do your search, back on that one of the screens that said to start with do your initial search for the keyword that you want to be found for. Google's going to show more than just you. So Pick whoever shows up when your ideal customer searches for your main keyword. It can be a national brand. It doesn't have to be a local one. So even if you don't have a direct competitor, there's likely somebody else out there who's doing what you're doing. If they're not, great, good for you. But then still go through the process of going to Answer the Public, going to Ubersuggest, and finding those questions and those search terms that you want to be found for, and then start creating that content. So if and when you do have competition, you're already ahead of the game. You've already sealed your stamp as the expert in that industry. Great questions. Right, I don't see anything else coming in. So again, thank you for being here. Very much appreciate your time. All of these sessions that we've done this year are archived on our site, profusionwebsolutions.com. You'll see the webinars there. Register for future sessions. If you have a question you want to submit ahead of time, we'll always take your questions and answer them here. Our next webinar is website security and backups. What breaks? Who pays for it? So always riveting, I promise. But it's just good information to have as a business owner, especially when so many websites are getting hacked right now. And if you have to clean up a hack, whose problem is that? Is it, do you have to pay for that, or is that the host? Well, we were going to talk about it. So thank you very much for being here. I very much appreciate you, and I will talk to you all next week.